Maybe if the sun goes behind a cloud, it'll be floating clearly. Who knows? It's a nice day. It's sunny, but not super bright sun. It's hazy. There's a high haze up there. I couldn't find an emoji for high haze, so whatever. Good morning, gang. Monday morning, another week starts. I guess for me, it's the end of my streaming week, though, because this is the time when I get a 3-day gap off. So it's not the start of my week, it's the end of my week. Let's have this down. Typical quiet Monday morning in Asaksa. The lady walking her dog there, the dog decided, I'm not going that way. It's just funny. KP-san was getting her Japanese practice here this morning. Whatever. Karen, how much of this do you know and how much are you quickly looking over to Google? It's okay. Good morning, gang. Monday morning. Okay, what's up today? Oh, breakfast. John's right, I haven't had a chance. It's been a busy morning. And what determines, it's the mailbox, whatever, there's nothing else to say. Alarm goes off at 6 o'clock, straight upstairs, 3 bags of paper out today. There's 3 printers working here today. I'm not so sure if that's a good idea, but there's tons of work waiting. They're all vaccinated. They've talked about this together. They keep the doors open. It's their own decision. I think they're okay. They're all vaccinated. So 3 of them are working upstairs today. Ishikawa-san's working on the October print to this year's series. Rei-chan next to her is also working on the October print, but rather than do it together, she's also moved ahead to her next job. She's going to be doing a bunch of copies of the rickshaw cart, the famous Jed Henry and Ukiyo Hiro's print. And then Ayumi-san sitting behind her, she's working on cranes. The deadline for the cranes is 1 week away. We have to put them online 1 week away. And she is busy making the first batch. So that's what they're upstairs. So I had to do paper out and then email. I didn't really get a chance for a shower, didn't get a chance for breakfast. So both of those things I will do after the stream. But actually, I can ask you guys, we were chatting here in Japanese at the beginning of the stream today, before we start work today. I can ask you something about this. I've been recently gobbling these. It's a fruit cup thing. This one is red grapefruit. They have white grapefruit. They have lychee. It's a new company putting stuff in. And I don't know where the fruit comes from. It says, Mexico. Today's breakfast comes from Mexico. Health, good idea for the planet or not, I don't know, but there it is, the fruit. But I've been thinking eating the fruit like this for the morning is a good idea. I have a light cup of coffee and the fruit. But yesterday, I had a couple of these on the counter there, and who was here yesterday? It's Ishikawa-san. She says, you think that's good for you, right? And I'm like, it's fruit, that's good for me. They keep telling me, fruit. She says, it's sugar, it's nothing but sugar, you know. And I'm like, I don't think it's sugar, and I really can't tell. In the ingredients, it says, ingredient number 1 is grapefruits. Ingredient number 2 is a generic term for sweetener. And then ingredient number 3 is hozonryo, stuff to protect, preservative, which is called sorobin something K, which I can't read. And then that's it. So it's grapefruit and sweetener, and of course that's the killer deal here. So when you look at the breakdown of the ingredients, out of each 100 grams, it says there's energy 48 kilocalories, and tampaku, protein, 0. Which I guess is what grapefruit has. And then it's got fats, 0. And then it says carbohydrates, 12 grams. And then it says salt, etc., 0. So there's nothing in here, 0. No protein, no fat, no salts, only carbohydrates, 12 grams. And the thing itself weighs 130 grams. So 12 grams of this is carbohydrates. And I guess, does that mean then that there's 12 grams of sugar in here? Like a spoonful of sugar. Is that what's in here? Or is the carbohydrate the actual fruit itself? I don't know. She says it's just sugar. It's like drinking. She said it's like drinking a can of Coca-Cola, which I would never do. And she said, you think you're eating healthy. Sugar, 12 grams. Could be fiber too. It's got to be fiber, right? That's what fruit is. Can I continue to eat this with a good conscience? There's no gelatin, it's water. There's no syrupiness to it. It doesn't feel sweet. It's not one of those that has those gelatin thing or one of those where it's all in syrup. There's no syrupy stuff. If you dip your finger in here and rub your finger, it just feels like water. There's no syrup in here. It just tastes like water. It tastes like just pieces of grapefruit, sliced from a grapefruit, dumped in a cup and food. But it does say ingredient number 1, grapefruit, ingredient number 2, sweetener. Anyway. So, Kay's got it. Some of the carb is fruit, some is added sugar. Can I keep eating this? I like them so much. You're 7 to eat what the hell you want. Yeah. I guess. I know, of course. I've come this far. What is in the brand? What is the brand? The brand is, the brand is Vita. There's the product code if anybody's curious about this. Click, got it? You're okay? And there's the full ingredients, and there's no, the ingredients are fully listed. The ingredients are listed, and then the energy breakdown is listed. So there's nothing going on here, Just, am I eating a spoonful of sugar or what? I don't know. Yeah, I've seen the Kuniyoshi. I haven't been down to see the exhibition, but I saw the write-up about it. Kuniyoshi, as we know, him and his studio, they had a thing about cats. So yes, it seemed like a good write-up. There was a write-up in the Japan Times about that the other day, which seemed like a good write-up about the exhibition. Vegetables, don't talk to me about vegetables. They had the same, after we talked about the fruit, the conversation continued. And I was talking to Deichan about the vegetables. I don't have one here. Let me do the next, let me get one of those packages next stream, because I wanted to get your advice on that too. I am eating a ton of vegetables day by day by day by day by day. I'm pooping green. Almost. Okay, you can tell by the tying what's going on here today. This is another package from Kubota-san. Enough of the food. Work. You can tell by this. Kubota-san always ties them so neatly. He puts them in boards. He has cut these from his drying boards, and he has handed back this job. And this is just in time. It's late, not because Kubota-san was late. It's late because we got the blocks. We were running late. Okay, so what we have, this is the third group of prints for the September print in this year's series. So they have just been returned to us by Kubota-san. So you know what the next half hour is going to be filled with here. It's emboss time. I am going to put the name on here. And he has done, as usual, I get a repeat, hit my tape recorder, hit repeat. He has done a nice, clean, straight job. We didn't have good, clear originals for this print from Koryusai. If you look it up somewhere, you'll see that we have dramatically changed the colors on this, because the originals we've found copies of were just awful. Just awful. We have cleaned it up. This is this is the September print. We have done different coloring on the branches. We've done different coloring on the fruit, on the birds. We just shook it up completely because the original was so boring. And there's a top secret in here. There's top secret in here. I want to tell you, but I don't want to tell you. Both things are true. There's a thing in here that if I don't tell anybody, no one will ever know. Okay, I'll tell you half the story. The original that we copied from, this part of the print was somewhat damaged and difficult to see what it was. That's first part of the story. This area was damaged. We had to retouch. Second part of the story is what you're seeing here as the vertical and horizontal are not the way his original print was. I don't have it in front of me right now, but his original print was something, it was larger, we've trimmed it, and it was a different orientation. The actual up and down, maybe it was this way, I don't remember exactly. If somebody finds it, somebody can find it and give us a comparison. So there's two things. In the process of rearranging it into this orientation, we had to fill this space with more stuff, and the original was damaged there. So we had to get creative in this corner. And if you look carefully, how creative did we get? No idea. Okay, let's do this. Let's do some embossing. Oh, I gotta talk to you about this too. Remind me about this later on. Oh, it's so. So I mentioned before, did we copy paste? Okay. Copy paste, yes. There you are, it's not top secret anymore. Okay, let's get a good view here. Oh, look at this. Look at this in the back there, do you see? Look what's in the back. Hee. Someone's talking about the fruit. You're doing research on the fruit. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, I need some tape here. Oh, I don't have any tape. I can use this. It's okay, I can use this. The embossing board here is for an Ukiyo-e Heroes print. So the Ukiyo-e Heroes prints are larger. They go in this corner and they extend up to the embossing area. These are a narrower format, so I'm going to have to make a new registration mark. And the new registration mark is nothing dramatic. In fact, we don't even have to tape it. I think we can just do it with pencil. What did the printer say about the great waves she cut the corner on? I haven't spoken to her yet. When I'm finished inspecting the batch and when I've done my work on it, I will be chatting with her. I haven't talked to her about it yet. Got a bit more. Okay, so simply we've got guidelines now on the backboard here showing us where to do this thing. Let's do this. Okay, today's stream is going to be this. It's not going to be completely embossing. The first 20 minutes or so are going to be embossing. And then we are going to switch over, and you saw the great waves underneath there. I'm going to be doing some chiritori work. I'm going to be picking bark and spots out of some of the great waves we have here under the microscope. I don't know if we've seen that before on the stream. I don't know. Okay, check. Kawasaki Kubota. And here's what's going on again. The first time we'll be showing you a number of times on the stream today, but here's what's happening. This is the embossing of the names going in, and it says carving Hori Kawasaki Noriko. It just says Kawasaki, and then Suri Kubota Kenichi. And I've made a mistake on this once upon a time. It was back in the early part of the woodblock pilgrimage series. One of the print batches for one of the printers, I sent them the wrong board, and they put the wrong carver's name on a batch of 60 prints. So we had to figure out what to do. We can't throw 60 prints away just because they've got the wrong name on them. So we put an errata sheet. We sent the prints out, and together with the folder that stored them, we put a little sheet in there saying, we apologize to the printer, to the carver, but we got the wrong name this month. So. We're using the Murasaki baran here today. It's a plywood disc, and it's got the purple colored coil inside. This embossing, can be pretty rough on the baran a little bit sometimes. So instead of using our delicate barans, we use a Murasaki. It's the same. This is the baran from the print party. This is one of the ones that was in the print party room. What are we asking here? Is it a thing that Dave figured out himself? No, you mean the light filtering? No. We are told that it comes from about the Meiji time. And the suspicion is clearly that it was a European idea. We know from old textbooks and prints and old materials that in Europe, right back through, 17th century earlier, no idea when, the wood engravers in Europe used flasks they used the candle behind it, and the flask was not diffusing the light, the flask was actually magnifying the light. So the light of 1 or 2 or 3 candles behind the flask was spread out wider on their workbench. So wood cutters over there did use flasks like this as a sort of a light, an assistance in their light. And the theory is that somewhere in the Meiji era, somebody over here saw that kind of illustration, either understood it or didn't understand it, anyway tried it, and the carvers here then started doing it. But the carvers here are not doing it for magnifying the light, we're doing it for diffusing the light. No, not my idea at all. Absolutely not my idea. You say 1800s in Switzerland. I think it goes way, way, way back beyond that. The woodcutter's Dürer and his era, there's illustrations from back then with lights like this. Wait, somebody's got the pigments. Somebody's talking about the pigments Dave uses are dyes. No. The pigments we use, it's pigment. It's literally the thing that pigment is, the powder that people then use later to make things like inks or dyes. We use the pigment itself in its rawest possible state. And the way I understand it is when you speak of a dye, you're speaking of something that has a chemical reaction in the product. You're going to dye some clothing in a certain way, and there are chemical reactions taking place. In what we do, this kind of work, there's no chemical reaction taking place. It's a colored powder being placed into a piece of paper. So we wouldn't normally in our world here use the word dyes. There's no reaction happening here. Well, I think when you say dye the paper in a permanent way, you're using the word as a layman's sort of term. The paper becomes colored. But I think down at the bottom of it, the word dye has a different meaning to the people who use it in that world. So yeah, the paper has become colored, but it's not dyed as far as I understand the use of the word. What you're seeing here is white paper with tiny, tiny, tiny particles of blue stuff and red stuff and yellow stuff all mixed together and stuffed inside the paper. And I've seen some photo micrographs, whatever, from some of the museums here, and they get down and down and down and down and down, and you can see the fibers of the paper. I got one from Cappuccino at the British Museum. She sent a photograph. It's a micro photograph, and you can see the yellow dots of the pigment that was used. You can see the separate. Here's one dot, there's another dot, there's another dot. So for us, we don't talk about dyes, we don't talk about inks, we just talk about actually pigment, which seems to be the best word to describe those colored powders of different formulations that we use in this work. I'm trying to catch up here. I'm sorry. Tuk, 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 tuk. I should have an iPad in the desk here, so I can read the chat without having to come over here. Yes, the printer episode. I did get an email from somebody in the chat here. I don't know if I don't know the matchup between the chat name and the other name, but I did get an email from somebody in Vancouver who offered to go over there and fix this. And also other family members. My daughter and my sister had been in the chat also. So it turns out one thing led to another. My son-in-law, my younger daughter's husband, went over there and took care of it. So thank you very much for those of you who did offer. Twitch chat rescues grandma. No need to call the police. Okay, here we go. If you just joined this thing we're doing here today, the first character is Hori, carving, and the lady's name is Kawasaki. She's the lady who carved this print. And the next one is Suri, printer. It's Kubota Kenichi. And while we're here, let's get a close-up. For those of you who don't know the background story, what we were talking about earlier in the stream, I did a copy-paste. The leaves here you see at the bottom have been copy-pasted up to the top of the print. So it's not 100% authentic Koryuzai original. We've adapted and arranged it. Somebody says printers are not to be trusted. Hey, you want to fight? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Computer printers? I don't know. Woodblock printers or computer printers? What are you talking about here? actually, when you speak from the viewpoint of a publisher here in Japan, they would say the same thing. Printers are not to be trusted. Because there is this thing that does happen and that has happened and that happens. The publisher will send some wood blocks to a printer. The publisher will send a batch of paper to the printer. The printer will send back that batch to the publisher. All okay. But while the printer has the blocks and while he's doing the job, what's to stop him from stuffing in an extra 10 sheets of paper, making 10 extra prints without telling the publisher, and then selling them in a department store somewhere? What's to stop him doing that? And of course it's done. I can't say all the time, that's a bit of an exaggeration. It gets done. Don't trust printers. I don't know. I mean, I've just done the same thing. I sent this set of blocks to Kubota-san with whatever it was, I forget, 90 sheets of paper, I can't remember. And he sent me back the blocks and 90 sheets of paper. But I have no way to tell whether or not he made some extra copies for himself. Now, almost certainly he didn't, for any number of reasons. We know each other very well. I trust him, of course. He's a really nice guy. He's got a reputation, and if he spoiled it by doing that, that would be very damaging to him. So he's not going to screw his reputation around. But also, I know he's got no market to sell these things. He's just a printer. He sits in his room making prints, making prints, making prints. The time when you get the trouble with these things is Mr. Printer, Mr. S, who's long gone now, he was making a living as a printer for outside people, but he also was printing stuff and selling on his own. So he had a sales business as well as a printing business. And that kind of printer is the guy that the publisher has to be careful about. It's Oshibori time. Is he going to turn it off? Place your bets. He's not going to turn it off, so I better turn my mic off outside. Just a sec. Outside mic going down. Just the mic left here now. You can still hear the truck through my microphone, but the outside mic is now off. So somebody's wondering, did I find a home for the stamps at the end of the last stream? Did we ever find a home? I get more emails about stamps than I do about woodblock prints. Actually, I haven't answered yet. I think even people on the stream, I still haven't actually taken care of this. People on the stream were asking about the stamps, and I got emails asking about them. So yes, this is covered. And in fact, at show and tell time today, we are going to be talking about those stamps and and more. But I got emails already lined up. So please, no more. Koringami, the answer is careless printing. Just careless printing. John Becker knows the backstory here. A batch of Koitsu prints from Doi that don't have the Doi names on them, yes. whatever. You can send emails about stamps if you like, but if I'm going to do it in the sense of the order of whichever first contacted me, it's already cooked. I'm sorry. We did this in the shop. What we did was we had a little box on the counter in the shop that said used Japanese stamps, and we had learned this years ago. When we get mail, you know, these days, whatever the letters that come in mostly are not stamps. But over the years, whenever we get letters, I would take the corner stamp off, throw it in a box, and that sat on the counter in the shop. And every now and then, someone would say, used Japanese stamps, what's that? And I would say exactly what it is. It's a box, used Japanese stamps, and yeah, please don't take them all, but help yourself. And the person would say, oh my God, my nephew back in Arizona, he collects stamps, can I have some? And he'd go through the box and take whatever he felt was reasonable. So that box, actually we still have it. It still sits on the counter here, under the counter. These stamps like this, the stuff that comes in like this, you know, 10-year-old Dave here, me, how old was I? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I would have died. I would have died for that stuff. He's parked his truck and he's sitting inside it doing what? Okay, enough with the engine. Just a sec here. I'm not going to start screaming. You're yelling and screaming, but we gotta ask this. Excuse me 1 minute. Yoisho. No hostility, just onegaishimasu. He was sitting there doing something on his phone, of course. Microphone, yeah. John is my PA. Okay, thank you. See, this is the problem, you know. There's no one to remind me to put my shoes on or socks or whatever. There's no confrontation. I didn't even have to. He's got the window down, but I just made the gesture. He turned it off. It's okay. There is. I think it's actually bylaws. You know, there's engine stop. The rules now. Whenever you got a truck, you stop at the red light. You're supposed to turn it off. There's bylaws and stuff. So the mood in the air is no idling. So he knows, and as soon as somebody asks, you know. Yeah, I guess it's air quality or gas usage or, you name it. There's any number of reasons, of course, It's so quiet. Okay, we're not almost done. Give me a break. We're about 2/3 of the way through. Hey. Have we got a good floater today? Let's have a look at it. Can we pop it up? It's floating kind of nicely. The shadows spoil it a little bit. It's floating kind of nicely. I did put the external mic back up. As soon as I sat down, I clicked it back on right away. John. I think that's the sound you're hearing there is another truck in front of the hotel. Hi. Oh, どうもありがとうございます。Amazon さんですね。はい、ありがとうございます。どうも。Yeah, it's an Amazon box. I have no idea what's inside. Something. What? I didn't order anything, but somebody could have ordered something. Printer, toner, who knows? No idea. Actually, speaking about show and tell packages, I have actually now show and tell packages are building up around my desk. There was a change back on July 1st. There was a change in the finances here. I don't know how much of the backstory you guys know. When the pandemic hit a year ago last spring, the instant feeling for us that this was going to have a huge, vast impact on our business. So within 1 week of it shutting down, we shut down on March the 17th. And Dave is sitting here. All of a sudden, his shop is gone. I have to take care of the girls who were doing the print parties, things like this. I was thinking this was going to get bloody. There was going to be blood on the floor. So I was thinking there was going to have to be people fired, shutting down the business bit by bit by bit. I knew we had online, so we weren't going to die completely. But I thought there was going to be a bloodbath. So Dave, the first thing I did was I went to Aoi Emerson, the accountant, and I cut my salary back to 1/4 of what it was. I don't need money actually day by day in my life, so I thought first step, before I can put the axe to somebody else, before I cut anybody else's pay, before I do anything else, cut yourself back to the bone. So I cut the salary back to 1/4 of what it was. Progressed the next few months, our business came back strongly. We did smart things, we did good things, we worked hard, we did good online. The rest of the world, the economy didn't crash, we held things well. So we actually had a good year through 2020 and now into 2021. And actually, when you look at our revenue levels, they are now back to what it was pretty much pre-pandemic. It's different revenue. It's not the shop revenue anymore. It's online and subscriptions. But anyway, revenue came back. So come that fall, when it looked like we were going to be okay, I went to IMS and said, okay, it looks pretty good. We haven't fired anybody. Put my salary back to where it was before, okay? And he called the tax guy, and the tax guy says, no, you can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean? I think I've told you. What do you mean you can't do that? He says, no. When you are the daihyo, when you are the executive of a private company like this, you can't just put your hand in the till and take money. I said, I'm not putting my hand in the till. This is my salary. What do you mean? I'm just putting it back to where it was 3 months ago. And he says, no, you can't raise your salary. You can only raise salary if you announce it. He said, like 9 months in advance. It has to go to a director's meeting and be approved. And then only then at the beginning of the next financial year can you raise your salary. I said, like, well, nobody told me this. You let me drop it. He says, oh, you can drop it anytime you like, but you can't raise it without the approval of the directors' meeting in advance of the next year-end financial year. So the point being, all through the last year, our financial year ends in June. So all through the 12-month period ending last June, I've been okay. I get my food, it's fine, but there's been no extra money for stuff. And extra money for stuff here means adding to the collection. The Mokuhankan collection doesn't grow from company revenue. It grows from Dave's personal revenue. Anyway, I've told the story in a much of a too long way, but the point being, up until last June, I was really limited in what I was able to purchase on auctions for the collection. I could buy for selling stuff, but for the collection. So my salary as of July went back to normal. It's still no big deal, but anyway, I now have enough for my food and stuff, plus, not enough for socks, but I have enough now to go to Yahoo auctions and look for stuff for myself. And we saw last week, remember you saw that book of match label prints? That's one of the first things that is now coming through. And this is not a plea for money. We have lots of money. Mokuhankan itself is doing fine. The Patreon rolls through, revenue rolls through. This organization is totally okay. This is not in any way asking for money from Twitch or YouTube or whatever. We are doing fine. We are profitable. We are in the process of paying a ton of tax this month because the company was profitable last year. So I'm sorry, maybe I should have not started this conversation because people might misunderstand. We are not short of money. We're fine, thank you. It's how we allocate that revenue and how it gets used. So anyway, the point being, I am now alive again on Yahoo auctions for stuff for the collection. And I have 1 box there, 1 box there, 1 box there. There's 3 or 4 boxes of stuff here waiting. Almost done here. We got about 4 sheets, 4, 5, 6 sheets left. Also, I should check, are there any cut corners? There are no prints here with cut corners. He's run right to the bottom of the stack. And I tell you, for Kubota-san, this is so easy. Work like this is so easy. talk about the money thing. When I was out in Obe last week, we had a bizarre conversation with the women there. They've been working really hard because our shipping is up and stuff. And I showed them the sales revenue. I showed them the profits. So all the staff knows what's going on here, And the bizarre conversation was the two ladies who've been working there, it's time to give them actually what we call base up. It's time to actually give them a raise. They've done really well over the years. They've had small progressive raises as we've gone along. And it's been over a year and a half, or maybe 2 years since they had their last raise. They've been working really hard. So the conversation, and I knew how this was going to play before I went there, but we had to have the conversation anyway. I sat there with the two of them. We were having lunch together in the workshop, and I said, okay, now how are we going to work out the raise? And they both instantly just said the same thing, and they made the same gesture. No, we can't do that. And we're in this bizarre situation that I want to pay those ladies more, and I can't. And they know I can't, and they can't take it. And what happened last year, I screwed it up. We had this all worked out, how much they were allowed to earn within the tax laws, and then we gave an extra bonus last year over and above what we had told them we were going to do. And in both of their cases, it screwed up their husbands' tax returns. They had to do some real creative accounting to get around it. And so when I brought this up this time, they both said exactly the same thing. Don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. We're in a bizarre situation where if I give them a raise today, they have to cut back their working hours so that they don't get any more revenue during the year. Now, they would be happy if I did that. Okay, pay them more, they don't have to come so often. They're already overworked. How does that help any of us? It's insane. It's insane. And there are ways we have been getting around it. And if somebody looked at my bookkeeping at the end of last year, they would say, Jesus, your employees are sure drinking a lot of beer, aren't they? Because we have beer tokens. And they don't drink the beer tokens, of course. They take them around to, what are they called? Bucket shops? Ticket shops. They're bucket shops, I think they're called. Who give 90 cents or 95 cents on the dollar for beer tokens. We can't pay them anything else legally. Remember, for me to be able to pay the employee, it has to work both ways. It's got to be declared for them as income, but it's also got to be for me declarable as an expense. If it's not an expense, I can't do this. So it's okay if I did some of it by cash and they put it in their pocket and didn't declare it, but I have to show where that cash went. This is a business, an auditable business. And that's the part that I can't hide. It's easy to hide the giving part at their end. Leave cash on the table, they just pick it up on the way out. That's easy. The tough part is for me to expense that part. Anyway, we've talked about this before. There's no point going round and around and around and around and around. Okay, what's next? What time is it? It's 8:48. We are now going to switch gears. John's got it. I need to refine my money laundering skills. Yes, I mean, there presumably there are ways to deviously do this. Whatever, I have no skills, and the last thing I want we're going to get audited. I've been audited twice already, audited in a very light way. Tax people coming around and saying, please show me your books. It's happened to me twice in the 35 years I've been here, and it's going to happen again. And they're going to say, show us your books. Okay, a base piece, another base, Mokuhankan, Nami Ura. And we are now going to do some surgery, and I really don't know how much of this is actually going to be visible. Let's try. It's a job I have to do today. I've got to go through these 60 sheets because Ome is waiting, customers are waiting, everybody is waiting. I have to do some surgery. Let's see if it's going to be visible. Let me get the lens set up first. Hang on one sec. Okay, is this going to be visible? So someone's asking, what are the benefits of a legal marriage if you're losing so much? And the younger kids are on this. The problem is the social constraints here. For people living together, two young kids living together, without kids, it's okay. Once you got kids, it's just not socially acceptable. You can't do it. Without kids, fine. But once you have kids, it's not socially acceptable. To me, I don't care, but to most people, whatever. So, okay, now what we've got here, this batch, some of it is chitty. Some of the stuff we're going to pull out here is chitty, bits of bark, and some of it is not. Some of it is dirt. And this particular batch of prints seems to have quite a bit more dirt in it. And what I think it is, it's in the papermaker's workshop, the place where they do the dipping of the paper. It's an old building, the roof is all old stuff. And a truck goes down the street like we just saw here, and it shakes the building just a little bit, and bits and bits and bits of dust and dirt and stuff falls into the papermaking tub. I've talked to them about it before. They've tried to put a plastic sheet up there, but this particular batch has not so much chitty, as in bark pieces, but it has dirt. Oh, look at this. Can you see it there from the front? It's right bang in the sky. And on this particular piece, look at this. It's going to be more accessible from the back side. Let's see what we can do here. No, it's chitty. It's a piece of bark. It's not dirt. Open up the washi. There she is. Out it comes. And to close it off, a tiny, tiny, tiny dab of the same paste that we use when we're mixing our pigments. Where are we? It's there. And the spot is now gone. Bingo, moving on. So that's my job now for the next half an hour or so. Actually, for the next all morning, this is my job. And I don't think I can zoom in any closer, I'm sorry, but this is what I have to do today. So, and the funny thing about this is, I never used to do this. I've been selling prints here now. I started, the first prints we sold 1989. So 32 years now I've been selling prints in Japan, and I don't quite know how it got to this situation. I didn't used to do this. We just sold prints and people understand that it's handmade paper and blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, since we started talking up the Great Wave, whatever, it has become a thing where I have to do surgery on each one of these. But I don't know about this, you know. No other workshop does this, and I'm not so sure that we should be doing this too, you know. Can you see anything? I don't really know if you can see anything to show. There's some quite big ones on the outside, but I'm not going to go out there. We're going to trim that off. Stuff like this. I'm not going out there. It's too big. The other thing about this too is in the old days, nobody complained to me about the chidi and the paper. Nobody complained. But since we started taking it out and since we started talking about it, what happens now is I get complaints about it. I can't get all of this stuff out, but because I've talked about it, because I've said we're taking out most of the chidi, when people get the print, they look at it, sometimes microscopically, and they're like, you didn't get it, you missed this one, I want to claim, I want to claim. So we're getting more and more and more claims. Since I started doing this job, there have been way more claims about this because I've been talking about it. And I'm just thinking I should just keep quiet, not do this, not talk about it. Look at this, it's an easy one. Do you see this? Open the flap. I don't know what you can see. I'm at the back of the print now. We're slicing part way into the washi. Open the flap. And we can now see exposed. Look, here it is. There's the physical piece of bark. It just comes apart as I pull it out. Tiny dab of the same paste we use for printing. Put the flap back down, and we are done. And back over to the front, nothing. That's simple. I wish they were all that simple. They are not all that simple. You can see it, can you? Okay, good, 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 good. Here we go. Look at that. Open her up. Slide it out. Here we are. Slide it out. Bingo. The chidi thing, it's a question of how much, you know, and how much and how visible. We'll see as we go through here this stack. When I was going through and doing the embossing, I did see some, you know, there's some that really have just too much. And it's a question of where they cluster. If you've got a bunch of the chidi that's in the middle of this, whatever, you don't notice it, but in the middle of the cloud, of course, it's very noticeable. The other part of it too is that we don't know how people are going to be displaying these. That one right there, when I look at the front here, we can't see anything. On the back, there is a strong piece of bark. And if somebody is going to display this print, if they're going to put it into a frame and a mat against a strong white background, that bark shows. And I can see it now against the background of this wood. So if possible, get rid of that. If it's going to require a major excavation, no. This is bark. This isn't dirt. This is an actual piece of bark. This should have been pulled out by the paper maker. Now from the front now it doesn't show, and even when I hold the print up to the light, it now doesn't show. So we're safe on that one. So camera's on this now. It's a question of how much we've talked these things up as being special. From my own point of view, that thing about living national treasure, I'm about ready to make a sort of company-wide directive. Stop talking about living national treasure. We can talk about Japanese handmade paper, but just please stop talking about living national treasure, because it sets a standard that I don't think they are, honestly speaking, I don't think they are meeting. So I don't know. Oh, look at this one. Right in the cloud. Someone's asking about taxes. I pay taxes in Japan. I'm a resident of Japan. I don't pay taxes in Canada. I believe America has different rules. Canada, to me, has a common sense rule. But the other side of that, because I don't pay taxes in Canada, I'm not contributing to the society. So would I have the right to claim any, claim benefits and stuff? And I think no. Oh, look at this. It came out really easily. Look at this. Big chunk. Pop, pop. It's going well today. So far. Well, someone says, start the narrative that the bark is a plus. And there's a backstory there, A few years ago, we started making our Ukiyo-e Heroes prints. No problem. Away we go. We're doing well. We make nice prints. A couple of years after that, some of the local publishers here started doing the same thing. Not with video games, but with anime figures and stuff like this, and Kiss and all that sort of stuff. And they started getting licenses to do this, and they promote their prints really, really very heavily. Wonderful handmade, wonderful Japanese woodblock prints, $500 each, limited editions, blah, 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 blah. And one of those companies, and I've got this copied and pasted, one of these companies put a message on their website in both English and Japanese. And the print was a god-awful mess. It was misregistered. It was just, I don't even want to talk about it. And they put a message in red lettering in the middle of the page, and it said, please understand, Japanese woodblock prints are handmade and will show variation. There might be slight misregistrations. There might be marks on the paper. It said all this in English and Japanese. It said, please enjoy these as artifacts of the handmade process. And I'm like, you're talking about misregistration as an artifact of the handmade, whatever. So it's a slippery slope. I get what you're saying. Someone's saying the bark is an artifact. It shows it's a handmade thing and it's not an iPhone. I get that, but. At what point does it become carelessness on the part of the people making it? There are two on this paper that I am not going to be able to get out. This one here. It's big and it's deep. And there's no way I can get that out without leaving a mark that is bigger than the bark. Now, it could be done. If I had 2 or 3 hours, we could feather out a piece, take a new piece, graft it in, and we could do an invisible mending here that wouldn't be visible. But it would take me 2-3 hours, and maybe even then it would still be visible. I can't risk this. It's a woodblock print. It's got to go out. So this one now, this piece, because of this, and another one over here, this is going to go into that pile of prints that I cannot ship. This is the stuff we were talking about the other day. A print like this now, I can't ship it because somebody would open the package and say, oh, come on, maybe. But if I put this in the shop, if we had a shop, it's in the shop, people are browsing, oh, there's the Great Wave, and they can choose it themselves, then we're okay on this. And this is what we were talking about the other day. It's these kind of prints, samples of these. I sent 3 of them to our mods the other day to look at this and talk about and yum, 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 yum. How's our time? I'm probably 9:05. We're okay for time. Good, 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 good. Oh, this is very close to the top. No opening the flapper. This is going to come off. It is inside the washi. It's not a printer's defect that the printer was careless, but it's not, there's no flap to open. It's so close to the top. There we go. That's easy. I wish they were all that easy. Oh, this is okay too. Talking about the waiting list, I don't know. Cameron's here. He knows what the situation on the waiting list is like. It is long. It is very, 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 very long. We have actually recently stepped up production. Over the next few months, we are actually going to be making quite a few more of these prints than we have done in the past. For the past year or so, we've been having one young man, Yamamoto-san, do them. And he's been doing a batch of Great Waves, then other work, Great Waves, other work, other work. We've now started to rotate the blocks around different printers. So Yamamoto-san did a batch, he's doing other work. The blocks have now gone to Chiharu-san. She's going to do 2 or 3 batches and then send them back to Yamamoto. And if I say this, that we're going to be making more prints from these blocks, the first, people are going to say, what, then the blocks are going to wear out quicker. They are going to wear out quicker, but it's not like the old days. In the old days, they would put the block on the bench and you're going to make 100 or 200 copies. And after the first 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, the block gets wetter and wetter and wetter and wetter. So the next 100 copies are made on a really soft, really wet block. And that's where most of the wear comes. And with our people, what we do is we say 60. There's 60 sheets of paper here, 60 max. And just about that time, that block is now starting to get kind of soft because it's wet. She stops, bang, puts that away. She goes ahead to do the colors. It's going to be at least 2 weeks, even if the same person rotated and did another batch, it's going to be at least 2 weeks before that block comes around again. So to print 60 copies where the water goes a little bit into the block, then you stop. Then it dries out over a couple of weeks. Then you do another 60 copies. You can do this. The damage comes when you do it with multiple hundreds, one after the other, after the other, after the other. Anyway, long story short, we can step up production a bit by using more than one printer, and we feel it's not going to make a dramatic difference in the quality of the prints. Because we're making more copies, yes, the end will come sooner. But who cares? What's the difference? We've got thousands of people waiting. The end is going to come. John-san is not ready with his new block yet. It will be a long time before we're ready. But hopefully we can be ready before this block set is dead. It's a mix here today. That last black one was a piece of dirt, black dirt, the dust that fell from the ceiling. This little one here now, this is an actual piece of bark. You can tell that the shape, it's bark. It's those two things, the bark and the dirt. I guess it's worth doing. The people are going to enjoy their prints for hundreds of years. There's one that I can't get out. There's no way I can do this. It's a scrap of bark, and it's long and thin and fuzzy. It's not a single dot. And if I try to remove that, the damage area is just going to spread wider and wider and wider. So that's it. That one's baked in there. There's no way I can get that out. Also, she's done such a good job. This is Chiharu-san. This is the first batch of prints from Chiharu-san, Kawai-san. Look at the quality. This stuff here, these are double impression to show. There's a key block, it's triple actually. There's a key block first, then the light blue goes underneath the darker areas. So those foam things are chopped out of the light blue block and the dark blue block. And she has got them lined up perfectly, even these tiny, tiny little dots. That's printed 3 times. The key block, then the light blue block, then the dark blue block, and she has got them all lined up. This lady is just so good at this. I want one of these. My God, look at this. 2,000 copies, and look. The fine lines. Look, there's 2 dots here. Do you see it? There's 1, 2, then it's a tin, one more. It's still open. After 2,400 copies or whatever, it's still open. There's been nothing like this ever. Look at the quality of this. This is Kawai Chiharu. Suri Kawai Chiharu. You may have known her. She used to work for us under a different name, Kanai. She was Kanai Chiharu. She got divorced, and this is now her maiden name, which she is using now. And remember this name. She is so good. We didn't train her. She came. She worked for Adachi for years and years and years first, then left for a while, and now she's come back and is working for us. She's working at home in Nagano. She's a single mother with a kid living with her mother and just printing. Do I feel a buzzer? Somebody's buzzing. Just a minute. Do I feel a buzzer? Yes, 9:15. Ho, 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 ho. Okay, show and tell time. We have a slight problem with show and tell today, in that again, it's something a bit large, and I don't really have room for this, so we're going to have to maybe get creative here. I don't know what to do. I've simply brought back the one that we started the other day, upstairs when I was doing sizing. Oh, what have I done? Upstairs when I was doing sizing, I showed you this package. Let's take a look at it inside. Blue envelope. The blue envelope is waiting. I know this blue envelope is waiting too, but it's like it's more match label prints. We'll wait another day. Then I've got the box from Takamizawa. There's a box from Takamizawa prints with over 100. Just whatever. Okay. Oh, I know what you mean by blue envelope. Okay, yes, you're right. Soka, when you said blue envelope, I thought you meant this. No, that's top secret. You meant this. There's too many things. I have to talk about this. It's a letter from Michi Hamono, and it's announcement. It's an announcement letter. This is fun. Japanese people are so funny, you know. It's an announcement letter saying, we have an announcement to make. And inside the envelope, you will find the announcement pamphlet, another announcement pamphlet, and you will find this sheet telling you about the announcement. Like, okay, I didn't know that until I read that sheet. Anyway, whatever. That's nothing of any interest. This is what's of interest. This is what's of interest. Terry McKenna. His book is now in print. There is a physical book available now for Terry McKenna's book on printmaking. I didn't publish this, nothing to do with me. Terry has built it by himself. In our web shop, we have the ebook version of Terry's book, but this is now, the book is in print. It's published by Michi Hamono, the knife making people here in Japan. They have made a physical copy of Terry's book. It doesn't have a price, but I tell you what it does do, which we can pass on to you right now. Does this work? Just a minute. Here you go. If I try and hold still here, anyway, there's the book. There's obviously information all about it all over the web. Oh, there is a price. But shipping, I don't know what they're doing. Do they ship overseas? Do they sell overseas? I don't know. Anyway, write to them or write to Terry. The book is a fun book. It's full of more information than you can use in a life of printmaking. Highly recommended. Terry has done a fabulous job with it. If you're interested in printmaking, get it. Someone's got a link. Thank you. Good. Okay, the book. I chatted a little bit about this the other day when I was showing you this upstairs. This is a set of reproduction prints from the Adachi company. It was made in, well, I saw it in their workshop in 1980, so this would have been made in the late 1970s. Somewhere in 1974, 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. It's made in Adachi in the late 1970s. And seeing this set of prints in the Adachi showroom in 1980 or 81, whenever it was one of the things that made me want to do this. This is Yoshiwara no Te. It's a reproduction set of a set of 12 woodblock print designs from Moronobu back in the mid-1600s. It would be maybe 1670 or 1680 or something. I don't know. I'm not a historian. 16 something. This is before color printing was invented. These are black and white woodblock prints because that's all they knew how to do back in the mid-1600s. There's a set of prints created by Moronobu. Adachi has made a reproduction version. They've got a ton of information on how the prints were designed and what's inside and all the stuff and everything else. Let's just have a look at the prints. This is the cover sheet. Yoshiwara, of course, it's the red light district in Edo. And Te, I don't know how to pronounce. Cameron, help me. Yoshiwara no Te. It's not views, it's not scenery, it's how stuff looks. If you were in the Yoshiwara, what you would see. Yoshiwara no Te. But it's not scenery. I don't know, anyway, whatever. Things that you would see if you were in the Yoshiwara. This is the new Yoshiwara after they stopped using the word new. Yeah, this is whatever, 1650s or something. This is not woodblock prints, this is just a map of the district. It shows the gate and all the different houses. These print set here with Adachi's information acts as a hugely interesting historical overview of the Yoshiwara and the life and what it was for and what went going on. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to the prints. Oh, here, this is fun. The craftsman who made the set. Adachi sometimes did this. They didn't put them on the prints, but they did put them on the folder. And we have, of course, Ogura Hanbei. And we don't know who this is. I mean, we know who it is, but what happened was they passed the name down. So the guy, I met two Ogura Hanbeis. This will be the guy who actually didn't get along with me very well. This is the one I knew as the elder Ogura Hanbei. He was at his peak, whatever, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Then we have, I don't know, Nimi or Shimi-san. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Another carver I don't know. Then we have Hamano-san, and this is Nakata-san, and Kubota. This is Kubota Kenichi, whose name you saw me embossing 15 minutes ago, was a young printer with Adachi when this set was made in the 1980s. It's the same thing, Kubota Kenichi, which you saw me just embossing. This is at the early stage of his career, and you see me now working with me at the end of his career. Kubota-san, gomen ne. Hi. So this is it, Cameron. Te, appearance. So, what you would see if you went to the Yoshiwara. Okay, now I can't give you a total history of the Yoshiwara here. It's nothing to do with me. The point about the 12 prints is they would have been marketed to two groups of people. People who had been to the Yoshiwara and they wanted sort of, remembering whatever about where they'd been in their experiences, especially people from the boonies who had been in Edo for some business or ever at the prefectural office or whatever. They would maybe make a visit to the Yoshiwara, and before they head back out to the boonies, they need, souvenirs and stuff like this. And then the other part of it is it's sort of advertising. From the tea houses, geisha houses, whatever. Actually, there was no geisha at the time this was made. This was still out-and-out prostitutes. Geisha came later. I don't know, the advertising from the places to show what was going on inside the Yoshiwara. And we're outside, and we are going to sort of, it's not the same characters all the way through, but we get the idea. This is a samurai character who is not supposed to be in the Yoshiwara. It was for the townspeople. It wasn't for the warrior class, but whatever. Of course, they went there. Let's just flip through. Okay, a couple things. They are black and white prints. It's what we call sumi zuri e. Black and white printing, literally, sumi zuri e. Black printed picture. Color printing registration hadn't been invented by this time. And also, these are not made on the fine quality hosho paper that we know and came later. And in fact, this one is freaking full of chiri. It's full of bark. It's full of chiri. Whatever. There's marks, there's crap all over this. It's handmade. Whatever, okay. the area, this is still the entrance to the Yoshiwara. We're going to spend, it's a long warm up here. This is the area called Nihon Tsutsumi. It still exists. It's a little long, thin park. It's about 10 minutes walk from here. I go around there, not every day, but X number of days a week when it's not too hot. I walk myself along this same path. I'm not headed to the same place, but I walk along this same path a few days a week. It's now Nihon Tsutsumi. People coming from downtown would have taken a ferry boat up the river to the entrance to, what's it called, Imado-gawa, and then from there they walk up the Nihon Tsutsumi. It was a dike with, outside the marshes and rice paddies on one side and the town on the other side. My God, we're still not there yet. Set of 12 prints and we've spent the first 3 outside. Okay, here we go. We're coming in the main gate. This is the main gate to the Yoshiwara, and we see our hero and his attendant. And because he's not supposed to be here, this is the deal. You sort of cover your face or whatever, and we get a glimpse of what's happening. And already the action begins. Our hero and his attendant are coming in, and we have a scene. There are ladies out on the street already accosting people. Hey guys, we've got the best place for this. This is Taos. There are people out on the street. Hey, come on. Their tea house maybe is in the back. Nobody's going to get around there. It must have been a really cool, interesting place, If you ignore the fact that it was all slavery and bondage and young girls being taken away from their families at age 10 to go in these places. We don't, like talk about that stuff anymore. It's all supposed to be, whatever. And this is a typical example. Houses were there, screened lattice windows, the ladies inside, and people walking up and down the street deciding where they want to go for their entertainment. And the fact that we see the names, we're going to see this as we go through. There are the names of some of the places. This is Takashima. So the idea is this is probably almost certainly product placement. Takashima either was a place that Moronobu, the designer, used to go regularly, or they paid him to put their name on this. The girls hanging out pamphlets for maid cafes in Akihabara. Well, yeah, they're soliciting cafes. There's no sex soliciting on the street here in Tokyo, of course, these days. The idea about putting them behind the screens, I guess that happens in other places. Is that still going on in Amsterdam? I don't know. And print after print after print, we see the same thing. The entertainment is on display. Someone's still working on the title, Vignettes of the Yoshiwara. That sounds good to me. Okay, it's good. This thing existed from this year. This is middle 1600s. It existed through till, well, today. There is still the same district, the same street layout is here now. I walk through it sometimes on my walks. You don't see this anymore. Touting for prostitution, it's illegal in Japan. There is prostitution everywhere over here, of course. The district now, they advertise themselves as a soap land, where you go in there and you buy time with the young lady and she washes you or whatever, I don't know. So yes, it still exists. It's in the same area, it's in the same street grid, it's in the same buildings. It was destroyed in the earthquake, it was bombed again in 1945. They have kept building it back up. And I guess the thing about this, in an era where there were there was nothing else to do, people worked, and then what else was there? There was no other entertainment. There was the Kabuki theater, yeah. And then there was this, and the story that they tell us is that people would go here not just simply for sex, they would go for the chat and the conversation and the news and whatever else. Talk about cheating, eh? Look at this. Maybe I'm being too sensitive about the chitty, you know, maybe. Same business owners, I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy. You know, I only know an overview of what the area was like. I'm not any kind of an expert on it. This is really well documented. It's one of the aspects of Japanese society that has been written about and documented all over the place. There may be business places there who have owners that go back to the old days. I don't know. I really, really don't know. I would kind of doubt it, but whatever. A kitchen scene. This is in the background, the kitchen, because of course it was eat, food, food, food. You went there to get entertained and fed, and if you were staying overnight, that was part of it too, you know. These are kettles. This is a kitchen. These are cooks. This is a kettle. There would be a fire underneath. I've seen this. My ex-wife's house, we didn't have three, we had one. It's a kama, a kettle, a wooden kettle with a fire underneath. And you know, whatever, octopus. It's kitchen. It's kind of what's the perspective here? It's kind of like, you know, I forget the name of the perspective. When you have those games, Sim City and something, there's no real perspective. It's I forget the name for it. You're looking down through an open building. The roof has been taken off, and it's all at a certain angle. It's all at the same angle. I forget the name for it. I don't know. Isometric. Who needs a memory when you've got all the help? The printing quality is okay on some of the prints. It's actually not okay on some of these. These blocks, I think, are kind of wearing out. And I'm not sure if I would be selling these if this was Mokuhankan. We see quite a lot of wear and tear on these blocks. The lines are no longer crisp and sharp, and either the printers have been careless or the blocks are kind of past it. I don't know. Adachi must have made a lot of copies of these. And we get an idea, you know, if you had never been to this place, you would get an idea of what goes on. It's partying and drinking and dancing and, you know. Technically, it's very simplistic stuff. Remember, this is very early days in the ukiyo-e. This is even before. At this point, there is printmaking for sale. Most of the woodblock printmaking at this point now is book illustration. This is the era before all the Harunobus, Utamaros, Hokusai, Hiroshige. This is long before those people were born. This is the early days. There has nobody. Ukiyo-e doesn't exist yet at this point. These are just black illustrations. Cut and roughly cut and roughly printed illustrations. And the shapes that you see here, we would see the shape reflected of what you would see in a scroll painting. And this is about the earliest ukiyo-e prints that are around, that are done as single sheets. This is quite a historically important group of prints. To have an original of this, whatever, that's impossible for someone like me to ever get this. Color came in the early 1700s, 1720, 30, 40, in that era. And we are told that the earliest color printing was somebody made a map. He made a map of Edo, and he wanted to put the blue in the rivers. And they had been painting them by hand, and somebody had the idea, whatever, to cut that notch in the wood and print them by blue, and they were up and running. They were up and running. That's the 12th print in the set. But what Adachi did to close off their set, they showed the first print from a Shunga album. This is an album of raw, the last one, we don't have it here. This is a separate album from the one we just saw, and it's an album of raw sex pictures, shunga. But most shunga albums, the front cover piece, the first print in the album was your intro, and it was not graphic. And we're not sure. Well, there's one theory that says this is so that when the kids ask, "What are you looking at, Mom?" and Mom can show the cover, it's just people in the Yoshiwara, you know. I don't know if that was the case or not. That's one theory, whatever. Or simply, you don't start graphic, you start with your clothes on and then you get going, so whatever. So Adachi put this in, and it's interesting, I guess, just to sort of show the previous set of prints shows other aspects of the Yoshiwara, the drinking tea and the shopping and all that stuff, cooking the octopus, but it doesn't show the main event, and Adachi, I guess, wanted to do this. There's one last thing to mention about this set. I saw it in Adachi's showroom, his living room actually. He didn't have a showroom, he had a living room. He sat and showed this to me. It would have been in 1980, I guess. And I didn't buy it. It would have been much too expensive for me. I did buy 2 or 3 other prints from him that day. We've talked about these in my beginning video. But what I did do, I had the idea that, wow, if you're going to start learning to be a Japanese woodblock printmaker, what you should do is, and this is an idea I was thinking to myself, what you should do is start with the oldest prints, and then you would then work your way through as you practiced bit by bit by bit, getting better at your craft, you would work your way up to the more complicated newer prints. So Dave thought what I should do as my first project is I should make a reproduction of the Yoshiwara no Te. I was thinking, you know, what could go wrong? It's simple. It's obviously simple prints because back then the carvers weren't so skillful. So I came out of Adachi's house that day and I went over to the woodblock supplier, Shimano Shintaro, and I ordered a set of 6 woodblocks. The idea we would carve on both sides of these. I ordered them from him. He couldn't do them while I waited. I put the order in. They were going to be shipped to my sister-in-law who lived in Saitama, and she would ship them over to us in Canada. I did. I put the order in, and it happened. The blocks were sent to her in Saitama, and the blocks were shipped to me in Canada. They got there, and I had got some smaller wood blocks from Yuyudo, like I talked about in those videos, and I didn't touch those 6 blocks. I was thinking, you know what, I think they're kind of nice pieces of wood. Let's wait till I get better at this. So those 6 wood blocks sat there in my storeroom in Canada all those years. This is 1981, 82, 83. We moved to Japan in 85. Our stuff stayed in the storeroom there. When it became clear I got permanent residence, we divorced, it became clear I wasn't going back, I arranged for my stuff to be shipped from Canada. My old flute, all that kind of stuff. And in that shipment was the box of blocks. I still have them. They are in the storeroom in Ome. They're untouched since 1980. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful blocks, planed beautifully flat and smooth, not by Shimano-san, the block planer, but by his father, who was still alive at that time. I still have those blocks with one reservation. There's not 6 anymore, there's only 5. Shimano-san, the block planer, he died in 1999 or the spring of 2000, one of the two, I can't remember which. Yeah, 1999. I spoke to his wife, blah, blah, blah. She was like, you know, you're lucky, you've got stuff that you made all your life. She says, me and my husband, he made wood blocks and sent them out to carvers. She says, I have nothing left of what he ever did during his life. And I'm like, well, actually, I've got some of the blocks that he and his father prepared. And she's like, what? You didn't use them? I've been waiting for a project. I've got 6 blocks. Maybe you remember I bought way back. And she didn't remember the episode, but she said, you've got a bunch of unused blocks from my husband? And I'm like, so we know where this conversation is going. There's only one thing I can do. And I said, okay, when I get home, let me wrap one up and send it over. And she says, I'll buy it from you. I'm saying, don't be silly. Just, I know where you live. Let me send it over. So I got back to Ome. I took the box of 6 blocks. I took one of them out, like crying as I did, took one of them out, wrapped it up, and sent it to her. And she's got it, I guess, still has got it. That's the only thing she's got left of her husband's entire career, because of course, when you make stuff and sell it, you don't have anything left. Unlike printers, I've still got copies of all the prints I made. So she's got it. And we knew this was going to happen. I got something back in the delivery a few days later. I was thinking, box of cookies, it'll be because it's a nice expensive woodblock, I'm going to get a really nice box of cookies here, Taste, taste, taste. Doorbell rings. This is in Ome. I go up to the Genkan, and it's not one guy there, it's two guys. The normal delivery man is allowed to carry packages up to like the normal delivery guy is allowed to carry packages up to like 25 kilograms or something. And this was over, so he brought a buddy. They take the package off the truck, the two of them, and put it in my Genkan in Ome. And she has sent me his workbench. It's not this bench I'm using today. It's a massive, massive chunk of a keaki tree. It sits on the floor. I say it's a workbench. It's just simply a chunk of wood with little feet. And he puts his blocks on top of it. It's got a smooth surface. It's got a stopper. And he planed his blocks on the top of this. And it's in the basement in Ome, the last workbench used by the last, now long dead, woodblock print carver. A tradition that went for 300 years. There's no more people doing this job. It's all gone. It's finished. There's zero people left doing this. It's not like carving or printing or sizing. There are no more woodblock preparing people left. The last one was Shimano-san. He died in 1999. I've got his bench in Ome. I don't know what to do with it. It's a massive, massive, massive piece of wood. There's a picture of it. If you go to my newsletter, I didn't know where this story was going today. Let me try and find if I can see a picture of it. If you go to my newsletter, let me try and find this for you. It might be easier for me to find it than for somebody else to find it. Where are we? It's called, here we are. Index of my newsletter, visits to craftsmen, Shimano Shintaro. Here we go. Here's a picture of it. I got it. Oh, somebody's beat me to it. Maybe. It might be a different link to the same place. I don't know about the first link, but the second link here, there's Shimano-san. And that picture would have been taken in 1989 or 90, about 10 years before he died. And there's the bench. It's not a bench, it's a dai, ate dai, I think they call it. Shigoto dai, ate dai. Oh, another picture. That's Ishii-san, the carver. These guys are all gone, all gone, all gone, all gone. Anyway, we got the box. We got the bench. So I call her up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She says, no, thank you, thank you, thank you. Obviously, she has mixed feelings. Like, what's she going to do with this? She doesn't want to throw it away, but she knew she could send it to this guy, and we would, whatever, take care of it. If I disappear tomorrow, nobody knows what that is. It's just a piece of wood. Someone would clean up my place, and it's a piece of wood, and nobody would know what it is, and out it would go. There's no label, there's no knowledge, there's no nothing. But whatever, there it is. So Dave was going to reproduce this set. He didn't. He won't now. I have no special interest in this set now. We've moved on to other things. But that's whatever. That's a little bit of the backstory. Okay, I'm out of here. I've talked too long. I'm out of here. Okay, today's Monday. I will be back here on Thursday. And I've said this before, but this time I'm really stuck. I have no idea what I will be doing. The printing benches upstairs are all full now. I can't go up there and do any printing. I have no specific carving job. My next carving job will be the first print in next year's series. But I still haven't got that worked out. So I'm really not sure what I'll be doing on Thursday. Really not sure what to do on Thursday. We will perhaps think of something. Someone's asking now, what about the 5 pieces of wood? There's a number of different factors. if you wait too long, they get too dried out. You've seen us. We've been using older pieces of wood that are just too dried out. These pieces of wood are now 40 years old. They're still okay, but they don't have a whole lot of life left in them. If they're not really used fairly soon, it will be worthless. They will just have lost too much of their density. So right now they are good to go. They are prime. They are irreplaceable. You cannot buy wood like that. You cannot obtain wood like that. You cannot get it planed like that for any. Bill Gates could not replicate that box. Period. That kind of money. You couldn't replicate that box. But if you don't use them, it just decays into dust. So I don't know. I'm 70. 2 months from now, I'm going to be 70. My eye is rapidly decaying. I'm not really sure how much longer I'm going to be able to do the carving part of this. Maybe I'll be able to do the clearing, because you can sort of do it with your head cocked. But I really don't know how much longer I'll be able to do the delicate carving. I don't know what to do with those blocks. If Taran-san is here, he knows. He's just sitting thinking. So I don't know. I don't know. The best laid plans of mice and men. I'm out of here, guys. Let's put the outside up. I'll be back here on Thursday. Nice day. It's going to be hot. It's really going to be hot out there. Right now, I'm headed for the shower first and a cup of coffee. See you Thursday. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now.